So, Spider-Man, Brand New Day. Great movie, and I think I would say that it is probably the best Spider-Man movie to date. There's a bunch of them that are good. There's a lot of Spider-Man movies, but I would say that this, if it's not the best one, it's definitely in the top two, top three. There's a lot of them. Definitely Tom Holland's best Spider-Man. So in this show, in this movie, he has a problem with his abilities, his powers. He goes through a tragedy of sorts, and it's affecting him mentally. And his powers are increasing. And you know what? His powers are increasing. He's getting stronger. He's getting faster. He's getting more angry. And his eyes, the pupils, the entire eye is becoming black. I'm still thinking Venom. I'm still thinking somehow he may have the symbiote already. Because the Spider-Man symbiote changes the way his mind works in the beginning. And it made him stronger. It made him faster. It made him more aggressive. When Eddie Brock gets the symbiote, it made him slightly stronger than Spider-Man. So he was deadlier. And it changed Brock's mind so that Spider-Man couldn't pick him up as a villain. Brock could walk right up on him. And Spider-Man, his spider sense didn't tell him that Venom was there. So there's that. And I think that's a reason, because in the movie they say that Jean Grey can't control his mind. And she's not sure why. Nobody's exactly sure why. I think it's because there's an alien inside of Spider-Man. I don't think it's just because he's got super abilities, because her sister controlled her. So maybe, but probably not. Before, I did a video before this movie came out, and I said Jean Grey's powers don't work like that, where she's like the movie Fallen, where the angel is like foom, into one person, foom, into another person, foom, into another person, like possession. Actually, Yelena Belova says it's similar to possession. Before the movie came out, I was thinking that they had a different person as the villain. And that person would probably be someone like the Shadow King, an old Xavier / X-Man villain that could jump into bodies and possess them. And I was like, that looks like, the visualization of those powers. He can like jump into your body. And it turns out that it's her sister. Her sister, Jean Grey's sister, has the ability to jump into someone's body and control their body. But if they're 33 feet or further away, she's got to jump from body to body. So she can jump into this guy, and then further from there jump to that guy, and then further jump to that guy. So she can increase her ability to do this thing. So I want to give away a spoiler in order to make my point, but I don't know if I want to give away a spoiler just to make a point. But Jean Grey's powers are telepathy and telekinesis. Those are her primary powers. So she can talk to you. She can hear your thoughts, and she can project her thoughts into your mind, essentially controlling you. But when they showed her sister using her powers, it was like people were getting hit by a real strong wind. They were like, whoosh, and they were under her control. And then it went to somebody else, whoosh, and then someone else, whoosh, and their bodies were, you could see the physical impact of her smacking into their mind. When Jean Grey confronts Spider-Man, she's bouncing from one body to another. I think her sister was in her body talking to her, because that's not really the way Jean Grey's powers work. And when they definitely, positively, without question, showing Jean Grey's power, it was sort of like the Xavier moment when he's at, I think they were at the museum, and he just took over everybody's mind like that, and everybody froze. That's what happened in here when it was specifically Jean Grey, without a doubt, using her power. Everybody just froze, and she was in their minds. That seems like her power. So the whooshy, jumping from body to body, I think that because there's a thing that Jean Grey is looking for. There's a series of letters that make what she thinks is a word. And she's like, I'm looking for this word. I guess if I say the word, if I don't say the word, when you see the movie, you're going to hear, yeah, that's the word. So she's looking for a word, and she's like, okay, do you know what this word means? She's questioning people, and she's entering their mind, and nobody has any idea what she's talking about. I think that her sister was using her to try to find this word that she saw, so she could find, so Jean could find her. You know, the government's got her sister. And if you were at a secret base and someone slipped you a cell phone and you could call somebody, only thing you could just do is describe what you see. You can't say, go down 49th Street and turn on Crenshaw and then go up 6 blocks and then make a left at Habendash. You can't say that because you ain't out there. You're in that room. So you can only describe what you've seen while you're conscious in that room and maybe on your way to the room. So that's what Jean knows. She only knows a small part about this prison. And I think it's because her sister is alive and is telling her, this is what I see. And through Jean, she's possessing other people. And that's why people are like, whoosh, you better go do this, Spider-Man, whoosh. No, you should do that, Spider-Man, whoosh. Check on this person who may be in peril, Spider-Man. And she's bouncing around like that. Because I was thinking, even before the movie came out, why would Jean Grey have to bounce from body to body like that? Why would she do that? So one, my first theory is the sister inside of Jean Grey bouncing around. Because if you're within the 33 feet and she jumps in your body and then you exceed her 33 foot distance, it doesn't matter. She's got you. She's got you. And you can go and then she'll get somebody else and somebody further and somebody further. She could do that. So I think she was just in her sister's mind. My second theory, she gave Jean these thoughts. She's like, look, this is what I see. Come find me, bro. Come find me, bro. And her sister's looking for her. Later we find out maybe a little bit more one way than the other. But I was so certain that there was another telepath. In my previous video, I even say, I think it was the Shadow King, because there had to have been 2 telepaths. And Jean Grey is not acting very Jean Greyish. She's threatening to unalive people, and she's doing things that could unalive people. I mean, if somebody grabbed one of my siblings and I really wanted to get them, I'd really want to get them. But I'm not sure that I would go around finger across the throating people to do it. And I'm not a superhero. She's a superhero. So I'm not sure. But then again, this could lead to the future because in the end, Jean Grey is headed to upstate New York and we know what's there. That's where the X Mansion is. So she could be doing that on her own, or Charles Xavier could be like, hey, hey, and whispering in her ear, giving her thoughts to make her show up. She don't even know it's not her own idea. But this could be the reason. If people other than Spider-Man are looking for her and they know that she's Jean Grey, they're looking for Jean Grey and she has these unbelievable powers. It could lead to the reason why people hate and misunderstand mutants. It could be. Just imagine, you've got superhuman strength. You don't know it yet. You wake up one morning, your strength is off the chart and you don't know it. You're walking through your house, you reach for a door, you pull the door, it comes right off the hinges. You're like, wow, unbelievable. You get into your car, you step on the gas so that you can move forward, but you push it so hard that you go right through your door, your driveway, and crash into the neighbor's house. And the neighbor's like, what's going on? And then you're like, calm down. And you accidentally touch them and like break their rib cage or something. You don't know how to use these abilities that you just got. And they're dangerous because you don't know how to use them. You're putting other people in danger. That's pretty much what happens every time a mutant reaches adulthood or puberty or something tragic happens that causes their powers to manifest. They don't know how to use them at first. You don't know that you control magnetism. You don't know that your claws could tear through steel. You just think you got long nails. Look at my nails. You pat somebody on the back and now they got 4 razor marks across their back. You don't know that you can control people's emotions, but now everybody in the mall is in love with you and you're going to jail for doing something that's naughty. You don't know at first. And then when you find out, you've got to learn how to control it. Jean Grey knew about her powers growing up, but she didn't know the extent. And clearly, she didn't really know how to control them. Same thing for her sister. But the government is trying to get a hold of these superpowered people. The Department of Damage Control is trying to get a hold of these superpowered people. And through the movie, we see that they are, in fact, collecting different things, different weapons that villains have, different villains. Spider-Man fights the Hand. He defeats them. And then using Jean Grey's sister's mental powers, they kind of put it in a machine which allows them to control people. Don't ask me how that works. I'm just going to say because comics. And they can control people and they're controlling the Hand. But they've only got like 6 of them. If you read the books, you know that there are hundreds of members of the Hand. And they've only got like 6 of them, or at least they only show 6 of them. Maybe it's because they didn't want to spend that much money and have that many guys. But probably it's just because he just caught this one particular group and he doesn't control all of them. So there's probably ramifications for the government to have assaulted the Hand. They probably look at Spider-Man really because he's the one that caught him. I think about that. I wonder about that. I also wonder, I'm still thinking it's Venom. Man, I'm going to give you a spoiler. Give me about 10 seconds. Spoiler starts right now. At the end, when they're showing Ned's Spider-Man tracker, it shows that he's in Queens, and then it goes boop, 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 and shows he's in space. Now, is that Battle World? Is that, it can't be an alternate dimension. It can't be, one of the other Spider-Men in their own dimension, unless they're on a rocket ship coming here, and it's just showing them coming. I'm thinking it's in space. It thinks it's Spider-Man. It's Venom. That's what I'm thinking. I might be wrong, but I might not be. End of spoiler. So there's a lot of things happening. I've heard people say that Spider-Man creates the mutant / superpower inhibitor. They can attach it to you. Eventually it's going to be a collar that goes around your neck, but currently it's just something that taps onto the back of your neck. It deletes your access to your powers. But Spider-Man didn't create that. He created a variant of something that Bruce Banner had already created to control the Hulk, to keep the Hulk locked in so that he could get angry or excited or whatever, and the Hulk doesn't break out. The Hulk is trapped inside Banner for a while, months, maybe years. And Banner's arm isn't all shriveled up anymore, it's healed. It's a regular, good working arm. And Jean Grey controls Banner because she knows the Hulk's there. And then she turns Banner into the Hulk, who's Dr. Hulk, Professor Hulk, and he's a big, strong, tough guy. But you can see the look on her face when the Hulk, the angry, savage Hulk, starts to take over. I don't think she was prepared for him, and I think that Banner, even Professor Hulk, and the Savage Hulk, and there's more versions also, all have slightly different brain activity. So when he became Savage Hulk, she pretty much lost him. She pretty much couldn't control him anymore. He was gone. So that leads me back to Spider-Man. She couldn't control the Hulk because it was a different brain than she was expecting. She didn't expect another brain in there. I don't think she can control Spider-Man because there's another brain in there, symbiotic brain. Now, in the comics, he first encounters the Venom symbiote during the original classic Secret Wars on the classic Battle World. Kitty Pryde, her costume's all torn up. She finds a machine that makes clothes for her. She's got a new outfit, yay! Spider-Man's outfit's torn up, and she said, hey man, I just used this machine, made a brand new clothes for me. Now, Battle World is chunks from other planets smushed together. So you might have an American police department and a volcano from Saturn and aliens from, a Klingon planet. And you might have 2 or 3 Kryptonians there. It's just pieces of planets shoved together to make this giant planet. So when Kitty Pryde found this cloth clothes making machine, it was actually right next to what was a prison, a tube that looked very similar. Peter didn't know the difference. He walked in there and he's like, make a suit. And the symbiote made a suit. It jumped on him and became Spider-Man. And that's how it happened in the comics. I'm not 100% sure they're going to go with that. Or they may do something similar and it turns out that the symbiote has been with him all along. It was Venom all along. Da, 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 da. That's a cool song. So there's so much to take from this. I mean, she's going to upstate New York. So in the comics, she's the first X-Man. But currently, could there be other X-Men there? I don't know. If they go with the classic version, unfortunately, Wolverine is not going to be there right now. It'll be Beast, Cyclops, Jean Grey, who went by Marvel Girl, Iceman, and Angel. And eventually those guys have a problem where they disappeared on a mission, and then you bring in Wolverine, Banshee, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler. I think that was the full second team, and then those guys show up. And then they kind of let you know that there's mutants all over the place, and different people like Thunderbird and stuff like that eventually show up. But I think when she gets there, it should be maybe only one or two other people, because they can do a whole mutant saga, but they should start off with Xavier collecting his team. Xavier's got to be in New York. This movie leads to so many different battle world, a potential Hobgoblin, because MJ finds the letter that he's been holding for 2 movies, and she reads it and she realizes that she knew him in another life, and something, tragic happened, and he couldn't tell them what was going on. So she's a little upset. But she believes the letter, she believes him, and she tells him, I'm not that girl. I'm not in love with you. I'm not her. I can see how she liked you, but that's not me. She's a different person now. But eventually she starts to get it when she sees how close Ned and Peter are. She's like, maybe they could be friends. Maybe all of this hocus pocus stuff is real. And you can look at the look on her face and see that she's kind of letting the thought enter her mind. But with Ned, he just walks up to him and is like, hey, I'm Peter. And he's like, hey, man. Oh, you're the guy from our building. And then Peter does the handshake thing, and Ned remembers. And he looks at him and goes, Peter! And he breaks the magic Doctor Strange spell. From a handshake, he broke Doctor Strange's spell. And even if the handshake that they do was, muscle memory or whatever, it shouldn't have broke the spell. The spell is huge and powerful. But Ned just broke it casually. I think he's going to be the magical version of the Hobgoblin. I don't know how they're going to make him a Spider-Man enemy, but they're clearly saving that. And they're clearly teasing it. Ned had the ring on, and he abracadabraed his way into show me Peter Parker. He did that. He made that abracadabra spinny, teleportation thing several times, just by barely trying. And he did it without anybody from Carmitage teaching him. He just did it. And the Hobgoblin is a Spider-Man villain, one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. When he became magical, he was kind of attached to a demon. So I'm wondering, is that what's happening now with Ned, and he just doesn't know that there's somebody riding his coattails? Or is it just magic? A lot of things happen in this movie. I love the dynamic between Spider-Man and the Punisher. This is probably the best Spider-Man so far. I've talked for a long time, and I haven't really given the plot of the movie, which I'm not going to do in this video. It was just a good movie, and there's so many things. It was a tree that had dozens of branches that could lead to other things. This movie was great. I would rate this movie 10 bags of popcorn. 10 bags of popcorn. You know what? 10 and a half bags of popcorn. What you know about that? Because that's what I think. More importantly, what do you think? Now that you've seen the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Be super. Like, share, and subscribe.